because, December has been very interesting. A lot of new business opportunities, new accounts going live. There's, the US elections kind of really push some market forces for people to have positivity in the markets. It just seems like we're going to be moving into 2025 with like a lot of speed. And I probably need a break before that speed happens because, I'm the tip of that rocket. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Good, man. Well, it is exciting. I always appreciate the end of the year. It's a good time to take inventory on how the year was for you. I know it's a little cliche, but I think from both a personal standpoint, but also a professional standpoint, you had kind of
Yeah.
touched on before the call, like, what are things that we want to learn this year? I think that's a really great question going into the new year. I think it's very easy to go into the new year feeling a little bit overwhelmed that you don't know enough, and this environment of digital advertising, digital marketing has been changing so rapidly, and all this stuff with the evolution of AI. So yeah, I think it's a good question. I'd love to dive in and hear your
Yeah.
thoughts on that.
So there's two questions we're going to ask today. Fam are the people who are watching. Is number one is Corey and myself giving, asking each other what are the biggest things we've learned this year? Because every year, because of the work that we do, the industry we're in, and we're on the front line doing it ourselves, you're forced to learn. You can't not learn.
Yeah.
Like the like the advertising channels, the client problems, the patterns you see across multiple clients, and time just compounds a lot of that. So that would be number one, just like 2024, the biggest lessons we've learned. And then next is 2025. What are the things we are focusing on, the skills we want to learn, just anything for 2025, like what direction we're moving in? Because there's a lot of things, even if we just do what we do now, moving forward, we'll have astronomical growth because that's the nature of the beast of this industry.
Mm.
But at the same time, you don't want to be reactive to clients and the industry. You also want to have that proactive nature where you decide what direction you move in because there are so many ways you can move in. I know myself, for example, I've changed so much in the last year and a bit just because of just the decisions I've made. Like, I don't want to just be this Google Ads specialist. That's not my identity anymore. And when people come to me purely for Google Ads, I'm like, buddy, that ain't me. We're doing something bigger here. So that's for an example. But Corey, let's start with you, mate.
Mm.
2024, biggest lessons, insights, thoughts on the industry, things like that. What have you noticed this year shifting either in yourself or
Yeah.
the industry in general?
Well, like we had talked about prior to the call, I think every year it's always a push for me. I think every week, every day, I feel like this insatiable need to try to get better, learn more, sharpen the axe. Right. I think for this year in particular, I got even more heavy than in past years into utilizing programming languages to just get more out of the data, to develop tools and systems and processes for just maximizing results and getting deeper into analyses. I know that's really vague, but it's an entire world of statistical testing and writing code for a specific application. So I really went down deeper than in that rabbit hole than ever, and I've been coding with Python since like 2019, 2020. And after all these years, I always find something new. And the
Yeah.
industry evolves more and more, right? I find myself looking and learning more about data science and statistics, which are hand in hand, as opposed to the latest, thing on Google Ads. Obviously, we keep up. We have this podcast. We keep up on news. We keep up on updates, features. But monitoring every little UX change, in the Google Ads interface is just a better use of
Hey,
my
there was a
time.
bug in the program today. Did anyone notice that? 100 likes.
Yeah, and it's like we talk about this, like not to throw shade on content creators, they got to talk about something,
Yeah.
and they're trying to stay relevant and top of mind. And AI, interface changes and UX changes. Cool. Okay, whatever. That's what works for you and your fans appreciate it. I appreciate somebody's staying on top of those things. Good to know. It's just not a good use of my
Yep.
time. Anyway, my point really just being less about the Google Ads stuff. I mean, obviously, again, I'm very on top of those things, and that's
Yep.
my day to day. But I find myself getting so much more for my clients by focusing on learning this huge skill set that is behind data science and statistics, because that's the stuff that if I have big clients, especially, that's what they're coming to me for. They don't need just another person that knows the difference between target ROAS and target CPA and
Yeah.
just general testing. They're wanting to like integrate their applications with some tools they built internally. To scale, they want to integrate that with the Google Ads API. They really are pushing the boundaries of what's possible and utilizing their own internal data to feed the Google machine. And that's been really exciting. So that's where I find myself focusing a lot. What about you?
Nice, man. Well, it's interesting. It's actually the same. I know we've got different methodologies around it, but it's exactly the same. Less time in the Google Ads account and more in the actual data science and data analysis and the data consulting as well, because I've been saying this all year because like I'm sound like a broken record, but it's purely because like success doesn't come from inside the account. It's always outside of the account, either in the data that you analyze from the account outside of the account, data from the business, or just the intelligence that you acquire from the business, being like the consulting or the feedback that you get. So I think this year more than ever, I recognize that I'm spending way less time in accounts, more time in spreadsheets, more time speaking to clients, more time consulting, more time, honestly, just asking hard questions like that actually make me feel uncomfortable. And then more time actually doing the real attribution work of actually making sure that the first impression, first dollar spent does equate to quotes and sales, and just being really aware of like the cause and effect. And whilst there's no linear line, at least giving some sort of clear linear reporting to clients, because even if you're 20% accurate, that's 20% more visibility than they had in the past.
Hmm.
And a lot of businesses now need more visibility on that data, especially in a day and age now where data is so important. It is the most important commodity in business. Yet people just treat it like, oh, yeah, we've got some clicks and impressions here and we had some sales offline. And they're trying to mentally just magically go, oh, we spent this much and we made this much, and just kind of intuiting a cause effect, which I'm all for intuition, but not when it comes to money. Never when it comes to money. So that's a big thing this year, is just spending way more time just doing data analysis. And honestly, because I've been doing it for so long, it's simplifying it even further so it's palatable to clients. So rather than going so deep and getting all these reports, and because I've done the years of building out heaps of reports and like, oh, we can fund this and this. And it's like, for me, it's like I've got the 3-step approach, which I go for, which is it simple? Is it practical? Does it deliver results? And I'm trying to make sure that when I'm showing data to clients, even after all the exploration, is it simple? Can they comprehend it? Is it practical? Can we actually do something with this data? And then number 3 is, does it deliver results? Like, even when it's practical, will it actually deliver further results for the clients?
Mhm.
And that's why this year, like when I've seen all this stuff online and everyone's strategies, I put it through that filter, because it's like 99% of stuff will not pass that. 99% of stuff is complicated and not practical and doesn't deliver results. So that we had a chat last week, Cory, after our chat, where you're saying that you're listening to an investment guru, and they were saying like, look, after their life, they realized the most important thing is forced simplicity, not simplicity, but forcing simplicity.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I've been noticing myself this year, like forcing simplicity. When I'm noticing things getting a bit complicated or like going down some rabbit holes, I'm like, no, Michael, come back. Where are you actually going to be making money for the client? Not what is
Yeah.
good. Where can you mentally masturbate over this? Where can you make yourself look good? Like, where are you going to make money? Because when you make people a lot of money, you'll end up making a lot of money.
Yeah, and you
Rant
mention this
over.
all the time, right? When things are complicated, you tend to avoid doing that. That's just human nature, right? I
Yeah.
literally had this yesterday when I was like 2 hours, I think it was at least 2 hours into this rabbit hole where I was like, okay, I'm going to have to make a script for this because the Google Ads API doesn't like this, pulling product data across standard shopping and PMAX campaigns. So I'm going to have to develop a script, which was really easy, but it's like a script just to pull out the product titles and the product IDs, and then I can use that as a reference table. And then I was like, all right, well, then I'm going to have to pull that into a local drive and encrypt it. So I'm going to have to create an app script for that. Okay, I did that. Okay. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is becoming so complicated
Yeah,
just so I can get product titles
yeah,
through the Google Ads API. Now people might be aware of Mike Rowe's script and like, how does he get the product titles? Well, actually it's because the Google Ads query language is a little more dated and it doesn't have the same restrictions as the Google Ads API. So
yeah,
I learned that fun fact through a long rabbit hole. So that was great. But the whole point was I just went, okay, I'm 2 hours into this. And as much as I don't want to start from scratch, this is becoming too complicated. I'm not going to use that. But I think
yeah.
that is a sign of mastery over time, right? You do
Yes.
force simplicity. You find yourself going, I'm never going to use this. This is too
Yep.
complicated. And honestly, this is unnecessary complication given what I just need for this, right? Like if I just need
Yep.
product titles, there's another way I can go about it.
Yep.
Probably, it won't be fully automated and programmatic and whatever, but that's a perfect world. Sometimes we got to move at the speed of business, and that means simplicity.
Yeah. Beautiful. I thought you were going to say I just ended up downloading the product performance in just like the Google Ads interface when you just download it as a CSV file.
I used to do that, but that is not programmatic. And man, that's like
Yeah.
across a lot of clients, that is not very scalable. Yes, yes, yes.
The yeah, in terms of simplicity, because it's simplicity doesn't mean easy. It's really important that
Mm-hmm.
it's simplicity usually is hard because it requires mental discipline, but also a skill discipline and intellectual discipline to know what specifically you need to do. A simplicity, like it's even the point where simplicity may be front loaded, where it like takes a lot of work on the front end and then it's down. Like I've got clients who are paying a lot of money, and I'm probably only working on their account 10 minutes a week. And I don't say that because it's like I wouldn't like really tell them that, not just because like sometimes people's value distortion messes up. But when they started, I built out these really intricate, clear, and simple reporting for them across multiple businesses of theirs. So I could literally, for myself as well, I can look at that one sheet and know how the performance is. So whilst traditionally a lot of advertisers or specialists would use either they'd be going to the account or using some pre-built tracking tool, third party, I've built these things out. So I spent maybe 15, 20 hours building out just, a Google sheet, which looks really simple, but the intricacy of it and the alignment for the business means that the client gets the exact data that they need any moment of the day, week, month of the year. And I get to look at it and go, cool, this one thing's off. I go into the account, do that. So I just know how to make sniper shots. And that's a big thing I've learned this year. I don't want to be going into the account messing around. I just look at the data. Where is it not going well? Take a sniper shot, leave it there for 2 weeks, dress it again. So
Mm-hmm.
spending less time, but that less time, it's like that old, the whole thing about the boiler room and the king asked that dude to like fix a screw and he charged him like $1,000. And he's like, why was it $1,000 to move the screw? It's like, a dollar for the screw, 999 to know where to turn and which screw it was. And that's
Mm-hmm.
I feel like what a lot of my work is now. It's just like doing that one thing. But that one thing consistently has a huge uptick in client accounts. And I think that's a big lesson I learned this year is like forcing that simplicity on myself of not getting too in my head about like, yeah, but if the client finds out how much time you're spending on the account, maybe like this and that. I'm like, for me now, I'm like, I don't care. Like I'm making them a lot of money. It's just like very binary. Are they making a lot of money or not? It's not about how much time or how sophisticated or the new thing or the new script or the new feature. It's just like, are they making a lot of money or not? And that's a big progress I've noticed in myself is moving away from that specialist who was so in the account, making sure I was doing everything like pixel perfect, but whatever the Google version of that is, and just going to, is this making cash? And that's when those conversations I'd have with the client is like, how are your sales going? Why are the sales so low compared to your quotes? Why is that salesperson not good enough? And like those are those tough questions because if I can see that this is going well, this is going well, and then it drops off near the sales point, I will have that conversation with the client.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why those tough conversations, the data analysis side, and all of that stuff, I've learned that this year. And
Mm-hmm.
I recognize that's going to be me for the rest of my life now. Because I don't know, similar to you, Corey, I don't know how many people you know like us who are having these conversations with clients. Because most people are not. They're either working in an agency where they're just like, I'm the ads person, I'm not anything more than that. Or people are freelancers where they're like, they've got this mind virus going, if I'm just better at the skill set, then I'll get more clients or then I'll make
Mm.
more money. The skill set is important. That's step one, but that's not the last step. And I feel like that's where you and I have been able to transform ourselves and our businesses, because we've just gone, yes, we know the skill. We do the skill. It's all good, but there's more than the skill.
Yeah, look, you can know how to swing the hammer in a perfect way, but you got to know what to hammer. You got to know
Yeah.
how to actually, not just to how to use it, but where to use it.
Yeah.
And again,
My enemy's
PPC is a
hands.
tool.
My
Yeah.
enemy's head on the back.
But again, we've talked about this over time. Google ads, Microsoft ads, Facebook ads, whatever it is, ad ads, whatever you want to call it. It's a tool. It's a
Yeah.
tool to get something done for a business,
Yeah.
and you're going to be good at that. But it doesn't mean that the results are going to be good sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So, I have people reach out to me and ask for that sort of starting advice all the time, whether they're just getting into freelancing or whether they're starting a career in digital marketing. Just random LinkedIn questions about that. And I try to be a nice guy and answer most of them if I can, just trying to give them some practical advice. And they tend
You're
to
not
say that
nice.
same thing.
You're
No,
not nice,
no, I'm
Cory.
a
You're
horrible person.
savage. You're savage.
I just ignore everybody. Yeah.
Figure it out, you piece of
And
shit.
stop sending me, you salespeople, stop sending me these LinkedIn messages of like just your pitch. It's like, dude, let's have an introduction. I cannot
Yeah.
stand these messages. But that's a whole nother topic. That's a rant for us right there. But anyway, Michael, moving into 2025, sir, that was interesting to hear. Like 2024, I think we're both on the same page. Simplicity, things we've learned, obviously very technical skills. We're trying to deepen the knowledge base of, whatever's going to drive value for the client. And if we find that that's data analysis, we get deeper into that. If we find that it's creative because AI is doing all the data analysis for us, I love to hear people's arguments on that. So we'll see where that goes. But if it eventually becomes it's all doing that and we're just the creative agencies now, well, then you and I, if we want to keep doing this, we'll focus head on mostly into the creative side. So,
Yeah.